Welcome to the Kernel Journal. It's June 24th. I'm George.
I'm Nessa.
It's been an interesting June here so far. We've had a pile of moisture come through, which has made it a little bit of a challenge as far as the corn. Wanted to touch base on a couple things that we're seeing around the countryside today and just some different challenges as far as management with staging. So currently we're standing in the corn plot. This has been 2 days without rain or any precipitation here. So in the month of June here, reported on the weather station, we're at 7.89 inches of rain, which has been pretty significant for
Yeah.
us. Definitely been a challenge to get out and spray. Um, as total on a year, we're just over 9 inches of rain, which has been tremendous just for the crops. But as stated, it's been a challenge to get out and do first cut and
hmm
time spraying and whatever else. So, what are you seeing on the corn this year so far?
It's been a little bit different. Definitely with the more precipitation we've had, it's comes with pros, but also cons for sure. Our corn seems to be coming up a little bit slower this year, just because we've had some colder nights and a lot of moisture, and our corn stops growing after it goes under 10 degrees, so that doesn't help us when it doesn't warm up in the mornings either. So we're a little bit later than most years, which is okay because things are still looking good, but just a little bit slower for sure, which is nothing too terribly wrong with that. We just then come when it comes to second pass, something to look at is maybe not timeline wise. I know some guys are used to doing things on a timeline every year, but more of what the field looks like. So we sprayed this last week. It was around four-ish leaf, and now we're kind of seeing that 5 to 6 leaf. Our chemical, we've seen great success with it. The field looks pretty clean for sure. And then going into second pass, we just want that now we've had that extra precipitation. We want to see those weeds pop up before we come in and spray with a second pass. So I think we're going to wait a little bit. Mostly we can spray up to 8 leaf, 7 leaf, mostly with corn, pushing 8 sometimes. So we have a little bit of time when it comes to that, but hopefully we get some heat here this week that will help push it up too. We did our first pass of herbicide on the plot here on June 9th, so a couple weeks ago. We did 30 grams per acre of Sortan, as well as 2/3 of a liter of Roundup, and then 10 gallons of water per acre. So we, standing in the field right now, have seen great success with that chemical. It looks pretty clean. Haven't quite seen a second flush of weeds yet, so that is promising. The corn is looking good. It's roughly 6 to 8 leaf, mostly 6 to 7.
So just where we're at as far as staging on this crop here and something to keep an eye on within your fields or ask us to come out and take a look at it is just how progressed the corn is for staging for the chemistry we're going to apply. So just forecast wise, we're it's definitely been a hot topic just to navigate around how to get into the field where we get good contact due to moisture slash not rutting and mudding up the fields. But our game plan with this is essentially we've got some decent weather here this week. We should see the weeds come a little bit on. There is a little bit of pressure here, but nothing significant. So we've got some good weather coming. We're going to get some moisture over the
Yeah.
weekend by how it looks. And then this morning I booked the custom sprayer to come in and spray Loudus and Partner and Roundup on this crop here. So once again, kind of navigating the weather and the staging on the corn, we're going to be pushing a little bit towards the upper limit as far as development of the crop with some of the chemistry we're using, but that's just the nature of the beast here this season.
Yeah, for sure. One of our producers, Jeff Nielsen, brought a question to our attention. So, George, how long can corn stay submerged underwater?
So this has definitely been a hot topic this year just due to the pooling we've seen around the countryside. The first rains, I was actually very surprised for how
Mm,
dry we were. The soil took the moisture
yeah,
well. The last couple of rainfalls, one weekend we had close to 3 inches of rain, and
yeah,
we've definitely seen some pooling. So, there's some data out of Penn State University where 20 degrees is kind of the magic temperature mark on how it's affecting the growth on the corn here. So below 20 degrees, so a bit on the colder side of things, corn actually does a little bit better when it's submerged in water. So this is just due to the growth and the respiratory needs of these plants. So Before V6, essentially corn can survive roughly up to 4 days submerged. Once you get over 20 degrees at that
Mhm.
stage, just because of the requirements of the plant, can only survive about 24 to 48 hours. So, the next couple days
Yeah.
here, if you have corn that's submerged and we hit 25 degrees, it's going to be really hard on that plant. We're
Yeah.
going to see some yellowing. We're going to see some mortality happening. And yeah, essentially a great question. The one thing that we're really seeing in the fields this year is some variance in emergence. Part of that has to do with planting depth as well as some soil erosion. So when you're in your field looking, you'll see some plants that are much more advanced than others. Kind of at that V2, V3 stage, we really noticed some plants in some fields delayed and just starting to poke up beside their neighbors in the row there. Part of that, in our opinion, is planting depth. So when you're looking at your field and you're seeing some of this variance and emergence, think back to how deep you planted. Challenge during
Mhm.
planting, it was extremely dry, it was
Mhm.
extremely windy, it was pulling the moisture out of the ground. So we've seen some variance there, as well as soil erosion. We've seen some plants that got buried kind of off the hop, which delayed things as well too.
Yep.
So just all different topics, just walking through your field, observing your crop, and then thinking back to those days where you're planting, because that has such a significant impact on the performance of your crop and emergence.
Yep. Don't forget to send us in your questions for that draw that we're going to have at the end of the year. And we'll be back for another Kernel Journal episode after we do our second pass. Thanks for watching, everybody.